Tecumseh is going to be on stage out at Sugerloaf Amphitheatre, and of course we want you to come on out and see the show. We want to introduce you to some of the folks that you'll see today. We have with us performing as Barking Fox Roundhead, that's John Long. Say hi, John.
Hello.
Also Maureen Yasko as Tecumseh.
Hi.
Keith Hall as Wasagaboa, and the director, Adam Burke. Thank you for joining us here today. Adam, this is an exciting time because everyone's going through rehearsals right now. And opening night is this coming Friday, and that's where things really start to get fluttery, isn't it?
Yes. Right now is when it starts to get fluttered. Where tonight we'll be putting in our costumes and our wigs, and we start a layering process of everything just comes flooding in, preparing for Friday night. So people start to get a little excited and a little nervous, and it's good energy.
For folks who are seeing these three for the first time, and some we've seen before in the presentation, tell us what their part of the story is about.
These three specifically, Wasagaboa and Tecumseh are married. Tecumseh is Tecumseh's sister, and she's really the major through line throughout the entire play. She's with us from beginning until end, and she is the one, historically and in our drama, who really picked up the pieces of the tribe after Tecumseh's death and sort of led them off into the sunset, so to speak. Wasagaboa is Tecumseh's very close friend. Was with him all the way up until his death. And Roundhead was one of his, I guess, important followers. Led another tribe who joined with Tecumseh when he was trying to enact his plan.
What have you as actors learned about the story? Especially, I'm sure you have to kind of put some of what you would call your own character into this as well.
Well, the story itself is just it's a really, really powerful story, and for me, playing a character like Tecumseh has been fabulous. But as far as learning about the story is concerned, the Shawnee were a very, very strong people, and they really cared about their land, which is something that, like, in a modern sort of way, I feel like a lot of modern people don't really identify with that, like really that love of land and how important that was to them. And so for me, that has been something new and different that I have learned, you know, and the strength of the tribe. I don't know, what about you, Keith?
I learned a lot. Before I'd played many different parts. I'd played Black Hoof, I'd played Tompkins, very different parts. Playing Wasagaboa this year has really taught me how important, like, Tecumseh's friendships and relationships helped make him what he is. Like, he was a ridiculously strong man, emotionally and physically, but without his friends and family, it just wouldn't have been the same story. He relied on them, and they relied on him heavily.
Oh, definitely. The familial bonds are very, very important. Very important.
Sean?
Personally, I know that along with what they said, the Shawnee, they were just a very powerful and very strong people, and they loved their land, and they didn't want to give it up, and they were willing to fight tooth and nail until they were gone for their land, because that's how much it meant to them. And I know I've learned a lot about myself being in this production. It really makes you think about all the little things that, you know, you tend to overlook in life, and all the things that you're just like, yeah, I'd go down fighting for that. And that's really what it just, you know, for me, it's given me a great outlook just on life in general.
Adam, you are a former actor in this portrayal of Tecumseh, not as Tecumseh, but you were in the presentation. Now, as a director, explain the different approach you take, because now you're involved in everyone's parts.
Yeah, which I love. I'm a control freak in that way. I love being involved in everyone's lives. No, it's directing the show is so completely different than acting in the show, because I do get to see the big picture, and that's what I'm looking at, is the big picture. And for me, what separates the show each year are the details, the tiny little things, like they were talking about the familial relationships. For me, that's been a really important part of what I bring to the show, is creating those bonds between family, between friends, and what are the little moments in the show that make those bonds. and I have to ask questions which I didn't have to ask as an actor. Well, when I get to the end of the show, and this moment happens when Tecumseh slaps Tenskwatawa, in order for that to be an important moment for the audience, me, the audience, that is not important. What's important is, what do they do before that? How do we see the relationship between those two characters grow? If we see that they love each other, if we see that she would do anything for him, then when she writes him off, it means a lot. So that's been really exciting for me to be able to address or to be able to look at in the process.
Each year the story stays the same. However, there are some little nuances that might change along the way. Will people who watched the show last year notice anything new this year?
I think they will notice. They will notice that it's different. If they really think about it, they'll be able to say, "Oh, wasn't that maybe over there?" They're going to notice a lot of differences, I think, in character. There are some performers who bring a stronger presence to their characters, and some performers who bring just a different presence to their characters that we capitalize on every year. Because a lot of it depends on who is playing which role for that. But there's a few little tricks and things that people will recognize, I think.
Just pay attention, huh?
Yeah,
yeah. The show debuts this Friday. And is there anything we've not touched on that you wanted to share with us today?
Well, one of the things that I was thinking about, playing Shawnee roles in the show, one thing that we do learn and that Adam really stresses is all of our ad-libs are in Shawnee. So we all painstakingly learn Shawnee, and we learn Shawnee Sign Language, which has always been a lot of fun for me. I don't know about these two, but I like it.
Well, this is new for me. Can you share some Shawnee with us?
Sure.
It's tough to make full sentences because a lot of the ad libs you have like a few seconds to just shout something. So like Kalarni Taki means stop your tongue. Something you might say.
I will say I love you to Wazikaboa, which is Nila Dakilama Kiaya.
And Haka, which means beautiful.
In a lot of the group scenes, when you greet someone, you would say like Washeki Sheki Nakana, which is like it's a fine day, friend. And so it's just like a very, informal, how are you doing? It's nice to see you. And, then there's a lot of little signs where, like, in one of the scenes when we're leaving, like, it's like, that's like, bless you, peace be with you, and, stuff like that. That really reads well, I feel, from, long distances. You see from the back path and the main stage, like, the actors, like, still communicating.
Mm-hmm. At the end of one of my scenes, I tell Tenskwatawa to think kindly of people, and so I signed Think Kindly. So we use sign not only to communicate over distances where we can't speak, but we also use signs to emphasize particular words in our speech.
And that's something very different than what you would normally see on stage with other performances, I'm sure.
Yes.
And I got to ask, Keith, have you ever told her to touch her tongue or to keep her tongue, like you said just a moment ago?
Well, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. One of the great things about the Shawnee people is they were very pro-women. Like, women had a big say in the tribe, and they were, they had different jobs, but they had a very large amount of say in what happened in village life. So, and it plays an important part in Tecumseh at a certain point. I don't want to spoiler alert. But at one point, Tecumseh gets put down by her brother Tenskwatawa in front of everyone, and it's a very important moment because it's not what you would normally do in the tribe. It's very disrespectful.
And like you said, Adam, in the story, where Tecumseh comes along and she picks up the pieces after Tecumseh's death, that's a true sign that they show a lot about women, respect for the women.
I would say that Tecumseh is the mountain of the family in some respects. Like, she's the willow that won't break, as opposed to everybody else. She sort of keeps everything together a lot of the times.
Perhaps one day a companion program for Tecumseh.
Yeah, that would be great.
John, Maureen, Keith, and Adam, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, the show opens up this coming Friday night at the Sugerloaf Mountain Amphitheatre. If you want to find out more, we'll have their website up for you too. And of course, just listen to the radio. We'll tell you more.
Beginning of the show, there's a battle. that occurs. And the very first thing that happens is Simon Kitten wheels around and sees our character Barking Fox about to take a shot at him. And so he screams, "Toddler!" and Simon Kitten shoots him off. That's our high fall.
Okay, we're going to show you some of the combat things we do at Tecumseh, and here's a little made-up fight that we just did right now. Don't worry, nobody will be hurt or killed in the fighting of this.
Don't worry. Oh!
Ta-da. Roundhouse punch, which we can describe to you right now, is an
Sure.
out-of-distance hit. So Mo basically, if she were to place her thumb on her nose and she were swinging at me, there's no way she's ever going to hit me. But I'm going to block it, just like that. And if I were not to block it, show me, Mo, she stops. So there's no way it's ever going to hit me. All right? So I'm going to block it again. You ready? Just like that. And then we're going to do an in-distance stomach punch. I make a roll of quarters with my fist. Mo's going to present a nice target right there.
Oh!
And I pull my fist away faster so it looks like it bounces off her stomach. All right? Now, this is called a rabbit punch. I take this nice meaty portion of her back.
Nice meaty portion.
And I just go
Oh!
like that.
It didn't hurt at all.
Doesn't hurt at all. So it looks like I knock her down. And then I pretend to grab her hair, place my hand on her shoulder so she knows it's there, and she does all the acting. I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Ow, 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 you can stop.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, for the coup de grace, the groin kick, she's going to kick me right here in this nice meaty portion of my leg with a nice pointed toe.
Right, so this part hits rather than this part. That would be
As
bad.
opposed to a flex toe, yes. So she's going to hit me right there.
Ready?
I've got her, yep. And we're right here. Oh! And it's active. Just like that.